Hey everyone, the Arthur of Gaming here, and welcome to my web series, Unusual Characters. In this series, I pick a class for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I build two different races for the class. And I try and show you one optimal race for the class based on stat bonuses, and one suboptimal race for the class based on stat bonuses, and try and show you how, in the long run, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I show you 4 different builds, 1, 5, 10, and 20 for both characters. So you get to kind of see how D&D Beyond works a little bit. You get to see how the classes build a little bit. And we'll take a look at like stat bonuses, attack bonuses, and that kind of thing to kind of show you just how very little choosing the optimal race over a suboptimal race actually makes a difference. So let's take a look here. Let's go to D&D Beyond. Now this video is going to be for the Druid. Happens to be my wife's favorite class, and we're going to take a look at that one here. So if we scroll down and look at the Druid, we see that the Druids want intelligence and wisdom. So what we're going to do is look for races that maybe have bonuses to intelligence and wisdom to pick our optimal class or race for the class. If we take a look at the character races, at this point I'm only going to look at races from the player's handbook, just because there's tons of races out there. I don't want to scroll through all of them, take a long time trying to pick out one, and I kind of want to do it on the fly with you guys so you can see how it works. So right now, as we said, Druid is looking for wisdom and intelligence. I don't know that we're going to find a race that has both wisdom and intelligence. I do know that wisdom is most important. That's what their spell casting is from. I don't know why intelligence is one of their primary ones. I would think more dexterity would be good, or constitution would be good for combat purposes. So I'm going to kind of lean more towards the wisdom / maybe dexterity or con. So let's see what we get here. So Dragonborn, strength and charisma, not really good. Dwarf, +2 constitution, and there is actually a dwarf that has a +1 to wisdom. I'd kind of like to find someone that has a +2 to wisdom, but I don't know that there is one out there. Elf, +2 dexterity. Some of the sub races have some other bonuses too. Halflings, +2 to dexterity. Half elf, +2 charisma, +1 to 2 other ability scores. I feel like half elf is just good for any class out there. Gnome, +2 to intelligence, and their subs have some stuff too. Half orc, +2 strength, +1 con. Human, +1 to all ability scores, always good. I feel like human should maybe be in the top 3-4 options for any class because they're good for everybody. And Tiefling is charisma and intelligence. So none of them give a good bonus to wisdom. Let's take a look at the elves. Maybe any of the elves give a bonus to wisdom? Let's see, what are the ones from? I think the Eladrin is in. They give charisma. The Drow is charisma. The High Elf is intelligence. The Wood Elf, I think, is like strength or something, right? Wisdom. Wood Elf is wisdom. So why don't we do that? Why don't we go with a Wood Elf, which kind of makes sense, right? A Wood Elf Druid. So we'll create an unassigned character here in my D&D Beyond, and we're going to call this the standard Druid. And I'm just using standard just to kind of mean an optimal Druid. We'll go with our Wood Elf because that makes a lot of sense. The Wood Elf, the Druid, all goes well together. We'll go with our Druid. Right now we're going to go with just level 1. I'm going to show you the other levels here in a moment. We're just going to pick a couple of skills. I'm not really worried about the skill part of it. So for this, I'm going to do standard array. I'll do 15 in wisdom. I'm not agreeing with this whole intelligence thing, so that's their saving throw, but I'm not agreeing that really intelligence is what you want for a Druid. So I'm going to go with constitution with the 14, dexterity with the 13, strength with the 12, because maybe I want some melee attacking. Although, not really. Let's go with 8. Because Druids have Shillelagh, which is like one of the greatest cantrips of all time, and Shillelagh lets them use their wisdom to attack with a wooden staff, for instance. So you don't really need to have a strength for that, so we'll go that way. For a background, let's go with, so what would go good here? A hermit? Why not? All druids are hermits, right? All druids are like Obi-Wan in the desert, hiding out. Always D&D Beyond, always check and see if there's a blue exclamation point anywhere. If there is, that means you haven't completed something. For equipment, we'll grab some standard stuff. Like I said before, we'll go with the quarterstaff, right? Because I wanted to use shillelagh. We'll add all that. We'll put that on the character. Now we'll take a look at our unusual character, and we'll do another druid, right? So we'll do create a character. We'll do the unusual druid, if my typing fit works here. I didn't decide on a race, did I? Let's go back. At the top, back to the races. So we're looking at wisdom and probably constitution maybe. But let's just do something totally different. Let's do a tiefling. Why not? No one really thinks of like this hellish character, you know, being a nature-y kind of person. So we'll do a base tiefling, which is this one here. Right, I get all that stuff. We'll do a class for the druid. We'll remember look out for our blue exclamation points. We'll choose 2 things. So now we'll go with our ability scores again. We'll do our standard array. We'll do the wisdom, right? Constitution. I think dexterity was next. I think our strength was very little. Intelligence was 12, 10. I think that's how we did it. We'll choose our hermit. Again, these things aren't as important. I'm trying to show you more about like combat and spells where things take a difference. And what people tend to be, what I find people tend to be more concerned about is whether they're going to be able to hold up in combat as an odd race, or cast spells as the odd race. Other than they don't seem to be worried so much about their skills. It seems to be the other stuff that they're worried more about in these cases. We have to go to our equipment. We have to add our equipment in so we can see it. There's that. Let me go to the other one and do the same thing. Okay. So here we are. Here's our standard druid. This is our wood elf druid, maybe a more optimal version of the druid. As at first level, 10 hit points, armor class 15. If we look at our actions tab, our quarterstaff, we have a +1 to hit, which wouldn't actually be +1 to hit because we would have shillelagh, and shillelagh would make it better. But we'll go with this for now, and doing die 6 -1 damage. If you look at our other one, the unusual druid, 10 hit points, 14 AC, so slightly different because of the dexterity bonus, right? In our actions, we are same, +1 to hit, die 6 -1 to damage. So that part is pretty much the same between the two of them. Now, if we take a look at our unusual druid, which is our tiefling, and at the spells, the spell attack is +4, and the save DC is 12. And on our standard druid, spell attack's +5, save DC is 13. So yeah, so our optimal druid, our more standard build for a druid, is a little better at casting spells. Physically, they're both exactly the same. However, shillelagh, if you had shillelagh on this druid because you're using a staff, the standard or the wood elf druid would be slightly better at using it because it's based off your spell attack. So it'd be a little bit better there too. So as you see at first level, there's not a great big amount of difference. Yes, there's a difference, and the difference is somewhat important. However, I don't really feel that the unusual build is going to be lagging all that far behind. So now let's take a look if we build these characters up to level 5. And again, go check all of our little blue exclamation points. I'm going to go with something totally weird and go with Circle of the Shepherd. because why not? Just something different. I feel like everybody's always a Circle of the Moon Druid because they want to shapeshift. We'll go with our Wisdom, and we'll go with Constitution. So we're gonna make beefy kind of druids. That's all that we have to do for changes on this one. We'll go to our Unusual Druid, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go to Builder. We'll build it to 5. We'll choose the Shepherd. And we will choose abilities. Oops, I can't seem to click it for some reason. Wisdom and Constitution. Right, all the blue exclamation points are gone. This character should be the same as the other one now, with the exception again of race. So here's our Wood Elf Druid, our standard druid, level 5, 38 hit points now, pretty good. Armor class 15 still. Here's Quarterstaff is still only +2 to hit, die 6 -1. Again, Shillelagh would change, right? If we look at our Unusual Druid, 38 hit points, armor class 14, still different. And then Quarterstaff is exactly the same. So again, we're on par, except for the armor class is slightly different for the Unusual Druid. Spells, our spell attack is now +6 with a 14 DC with the Unusual Druid, and our standard or Wood Elf Druid is +6 with a 14 DC, right? So now we're the same. Exactly the same. So quickly, the Unusual Druid caught up. Granted, yes, those first few levels are key. It's, sometimes can be hard to stay alive at those lower levels, which can make it more difficult if you're not optimal. But I think not optimal is more fun. I mean, instead of playing a Wood Elf Druid like everybody else, why not play this weird Tiefling Druid who, maybe accidentally likes to burn trees or something, whatever. I mean, it's just something different and odd. And now we can build this up to level 10, and we should start to see, quite a bit more hit points. We're going to get another ability score improvement here. We'll go Wisdom again. We'll go Dexterity this time. We did Constitution last time. Let's do Wisdom Dex this time. And then do the same thing with the Unusual Druid. Goes to level 10. And again, this is not multi-classing. I'm not trying to do anything too wonky. Really just kind of making something that I would probably make as a character, generally. Okay. So we go back to our standard druid, or our Wood Elf Druid, level 10. 73 hit points now. Armor class 16 still. That hasn't changed. Which is part of my reasoning behind, attack bonuses and that sort of thing. Armor class doesn't fluctuate all that much. I mean, you can have everything from, like a zombie, which has like an 8 or 9 armor class, up to, maybe some sort of dragon or something with like a 23, where that's a big fluctuation. But I don't feel like characters really fluctuate much in armor class. Obviously, if you get better armor and stuff, it does. But your attack bonus does keep going up as you level. So, I think it doesn't make as big of a deal as people think it does. But it might, So with the standard druid, again, 73 points, 16 armor class, +3 to hit for die 6 -1. This one is 73 hit points, 15 armor class, +3 with die 6 -1. So we're still behind in armor class, right? So this is 16. This is 15. And then we'll look at the spells. The Unusual Druid is at +7 spell attack for a 15 DC, and the Optimal Druid is +8 for a 16. Right? So yeah, so it's gotten a little bit better. The Standard Druid, or the more Optimal Druid, has kind of pulled ahead again, which is expected. It's the optimal build, right? So it's going to be a little bit better. But I'm not sure that difference makes that big of a deal comparatively when you look at playing something just different and cool compared to the same thing that everybody else wants to play, right? So now let's take our standard druid. I want to change my thing here. I forgot to put that at the bottom. Take our standard druid. Let's jump it up to 20. And here we'll have a few different options to choose from now. Lots of ability score improvements, right? So here we go. Ability score improvement. At some point in time here, remember that there is a maximum two ability scores of like a 20. So I'm going to go Wisdom Con. I'm going to go Wisdom Dex. And then I'm going to go Wisdom I can't do anymore, right? Because I maxed it out. So I'll do Con and Dex. Right? And then boom. Let's put that over there. And now we'll do the same thing with this one. The Unusual Druid, who's the Tiefling. Not your optimal build. Oops. Go to 20. So here, Wisdom and Con. Here, we'll go with Wisdom and Dexterity. Then here. So see, we could get Wisdom here again. So go back to Wisdom and Con again. So you'll see, because based on race, the other race had a bonus to Wisdom where this one didn't. So I could continue to improve Wisdom. It didn't cap out, although it may have capped on that last one. So we'll see if it goes to 20 on the Unusual Druid, which it does. So if we're looking at now a standard Druid, this is a optimal build Druid, a Wood Elf, level 20, 163 hit points, armor class 17. Now my melee attack has gone to +5 and a die 6 -1, right? Which 163 hit points, armor class 15. So my armor class is lagging behind on this one because the dex just isn't catching up. +5 to hit, die 6 -1, which is exactly the same as the other one. So the suboptimal is lagging in armor class. It does have a resistance to fire. That's kind of a bonus. So it is lagging in armor class a little bit. Spell-wise, if we look, spell attack +11, DC 19. And we have spell attack 11, DC 19. So I don't know about you guys, but when I tend to build my characters and decide my character that I'm going to play, I like to kind of think of what I would do all the way up to like level 20. Even though so far in 5th edition I've never played to level 20. I mostly DM. I get to play characters occasionally, and I don't often get to play in a long-term campaign in which I get to level up that far. But I like to think about it. So looking at this, taking a standard optimal build, Wood Elf Druid level 20, and a unusual build, right, over here, Tiefling Druid level 20, spell casting wise, we end up exactly the same at 20th level. Yes, there will be fluctuations throughout the levels where one will be better than the other one, but in the long run, it ends up being pretty much exactly the same. And these are the points that I'm trying to make with these videos. I'm trying to show people that, yes, you can do an optimal build for a character. And if that's what you want to play that. Don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not poo-pooing playing an optimal build. My part of it runs into, I often see, like, if you go play Adventurers League somewhere at a con, like Gen Con or PAX Unplugged or something, and you sit down to a table with strangers, and then you know, they all pull out like the same character, right? They all pull out the Wood Elf Druid, you know, and now you've got 3 Wood Elf Druids and, you know, whatever else at the table. And so I think it's just a little cooler and neat to play something off the beaten path. That's how I like to play, and come up with weird characters based on weird combos that I can manage to come up with. I rarely play what one would consider an optimal build. Rarely. So that's it, folks. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate all of you. Thank you very, very much. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment. Let me know. Do you like these kind of videos? Is there another kind of video series maybe you can think of that you might like to see? I could do some videos on that. Please find me on Instagram at the Arthur of Gaming, and, you know, follow me there. I often put up, you know, reviews of accessories for D&D, board games, D&D stuff. And I also have a video series called Riverbreak on twitch.tv/Vorpal Board. Board. Check that out. We stream every other Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love to have you guys come find us there and watch us there. So as always, folks, it's a crazy world out there. Do what you can. Do your best to stay safe.